Once you spawn in, the only thing we have to get here before we fight the first boss is the rest gesture. So go ahead and rest at any bonfire that you see. There's one on the way, and you will get that gesture. Now we're going to take on the first boss, Irithyll Gundyr. Now Gundyr is the first boss, so he's probably the easiest for any given player. As a magic user, he's definitely the easiest because you can just keep your distance, and that should be about it. At half health, he transforms into what the game calls a Pus of Man, and he gets longer range attacks, but still the boss fight should be pretty easy. So that's Gundyr. Go ahead and take that coiled sword to Firelink Shrine, put it in the middle, and then there's a few people we need to meet here, so let's get social. We're going to meet the Firekeeper, where you talk to level up, obviously, like every other game. And then we're going to meet the Shrine Handmaid, who sells you rings and other useful things throughout the game. Right now, she will sell you the spell Farron Dart and the Miracle Heal Aid. Talk to Andre the Blacksmith, and then choose the actual talk option when you talk to him, and he will give you the Hurrah gesture. Next, we're going to meet Hawkwood the Deserter. He gives you a ring later on, and the first time you talk to him, he will give you the Collapse gesture. Now that we've talked to everybody, we have two options. We can either grind out 20,000 souls and buy the tower key, or if you don't want to do that, just like me, you can go ahead and perform the tree skip. And it's not that hard. All you're going to do is find this tree outside of Firelink Shrine, and you're going to run at it at a specific angle, and then strafe to the right and jump, and you should make it onto the small roof of the shrine. Either way you choose to do it, go ahead and head inside on the rafters. You can find the Pickle Pea and Pumperum Crow Nest. You can trade a Homeward Bone to get the Call Over gesture, and the item nearby that's hanging on the edge is an Estus Shard. The back wall, opposite of where you come in, over King Lothric's throne, is an illusory wall, and go down that area and you'll find a chest with the covetous Silver Serpent Ring in it. With everything gathered from Firelink Shrine and surrounding areas, we're going to go ahead and go to the High Wall of Lothric. In the High Wall of Lothric, most of our objectives are in the lower half of the area, so from the Tower Bonfire, you're going to go down outside past the little Pus of Man, go down that ladder, and you're going to be going into the building where the ladder is. In the a couple rooms over is another Estus Shard, and down those stairs is the cell key that we need to free an NPC. Back onto the Tower Bonfire, go down 2 levels, and you'll take the only path you can go down, and you'll come to a cage with an NPC named Grey Rat. Go ahead and free Grey Rat, and then accept his services, and you will get the blue Tearstone Ring. Now, just before the giant staircase that leads to Vort or the Dancer, you're going to take a little side path that leads to a shortcut back to the first bonfire in the area. There will be a staircase on your right, and on that upper platform is the Ring of Sacrifice. It's one of many. There are like 6 to pick up. With everything in our pockets, we're going to go up the giant staircase to the Dancer's Arena, talk to Emma. She will give you the Way of Blue Covenant, and she'll give you a small Lothric banner, and then head down the stairs, and we're going to fight Vort. Now, Vort is pretty simple. He is weak to dark type damage and strike damage, so if you have like a mace, that would be good. He can charge at you from across the room, but he's really easy to dodge. And he has a breathing attack that deals frostbite damage. So once that builds up, you'll take a chunk of damage, kind of like bleed. That's about it. In his second phase, he gets more aggressive, and he can charge a couple times in a row. But once he does his 4th or 5th charge, he's going to stop and use that breath attack. Just make your way behind him, and you can punish that till the ends of the earth. Once Vort is down, go ahead and go through the giant door that opens on the other side. Use the Lothric banner, and it'll take you to the Undead Settlement. Once you make it to the Undead Settlement, we're going to go to the end of the bridge that's opposite of the big gate that lets all the dogs out, and you're going to look for an NPC named Yol of Londor. He's going to be the only one that's moving and talking out of all the pilgrims. Once Yol is recruited, go ahead and head through the giant gate where the dogs came from and light that first bonfire. Once you've lit the bonfire, what I'm going to suggest that you do now at this point is grind out 47,000 souls. It's going to be a little bit time consuming, but you're going to get those souls, head to Firelink, and you're going to buy the tower key from the Shrine Handmaid, and then you're going to make your way to the top of that tower just before the elevator. And if you look on the right side, down at the bottom, you should see a corpse. That corpse holds the Estus ring. So just very carefully pick your way down, grab that ring, and then head back to the shrine. Now we're going to deal with Yol. Yol can be found to the left of Andre the Blacksmith at the very end of that path. You go ahead and choose the option to draw out True Strength one time. You can only do it once. And then you're going to be able to buy a couple spells. You're going to buy Soul Arrow, Heavy Soul Arrow, Soul Greatsword, Magic Weapon, and Magic Shield for a total of 17,000 souls. Go ahead and choose the talk option with Yol, and you will be able to get the Beckon gesture. Now we're going to look underneath our player level in the player stats menu, and you'll see Hollowing is at 1. You want to get that level to 15 by throwing yourself away a couple times. Once that gets to 15, come back to Yol and choose the Draw Out True Strength option 4 more times for a total of 5. And when you reload the area after that, you'll find that Yol is dead, and behind you is Uria of Londor. Uria is one of 2 NPCs that are vital for the first ending we're going to go to. Make sure you talk to Uria. She will give you Dignified Bow gesture, and then you can buy both of the Untrue Rings from her for a total of 10,000 souls, and you can buy the Londor Braille Divine Tome for 50 souls. Head back to the Undead Settlement, and just through the first house on the balcony, you'll see a body hanging. Go ahead and knock that down, and follow it to pick up Loretta's bone. Against the tree, you can find an Estus shard, and now we're going to follow the left side path. The first door that you get to, you can open. There's a hole in the ground. Fall down that hole, and you can pick up the Warriors of the Sunlight Covenant. Keep going down this path, and you will come to the Dilapidated Bridge bonfire, and then from there, go into the graveyard. And on the left side of the graveyard, past a well, is going to be the Mortician's Ashes. And on the right side of the graveyard is going to be a broken piece of road, and on that piece of road is going to be your first Undead Bone Shard. There are 10 Undead Bone Shards to pick up, so this is one of 10. Keep making your way through the building and up the path, and you will come to 2 big doors and a big arena across from it. Go ahead and open those 2 big doors, and then we're going to head up the stairs to the right, and you'll come up to the backside of the cliff underside bonfire. Go up the stairs, and make sure you go off the left side of that area. You'll find a lower path that you can fall to, and light the cliff underside bonfire, and then head back up. You'll go across the rooftops, and you will meet an NPC named Cornix of the Swamp. Go ahead and free Cornix. He'll relocate to Firelink Shrine. And then back down in the area on the right side from the bonfire, you're going to see a long bridge leading into nowhere. That's where you pick up the Fire Clutch ring. Now we're going to go back to the Undead Settlement bonfire. And this time where the Estus tree is, you're going to go to the right side over the bridge. Go ahead and go to the end of that path, and you'll open the double doors that are going to lead back to the cliff underside. And then come back to the bridge, and this time go down the small right path, and at the very end of this path, over some roofs and falling down on the right side, you're going to find an enemy, one of the big cage guys you find later. He doesn't aggro. What you need to do is go to his back and interact with it, and he'll take you to a special area where you can find the Mound Maker's Covenant. Once you have joined the Covenant, we're now going to go take on the Curse-Rotted Greatwood. Heading into the Greatwood's boss arena, there's going to be a couple enemies that you can take down. And when you get closer to the boss, it will activate. The goal here is to hit all of the big, sack-like things. Those are his weak points, and then once you've hit it for enough damage, it'll explode and deal a lot of damage. First phase is pretty easy. Just take out as many sacks as you can. And then at half health, he's going to do a big attack, and the floor will fall through. And when you get down there, he's going to sprout out a hand that you can attack, but it attacks much faster and in a wider sweeping area. That's pretty much it. He's weak to fire. Not that difficult of a boss fight. Once you take down the Great Wood, you'll get the Transposing Kiln, and I'm going to go ahead and go to Firelink Shrine. In Firelink Shrine, if you go up to the area where the thrones are, you can find Ludlith of Corlin. You will give him the Transposing Kiln, and then we're going to go ahead and trade in Vort's Soul for the Pontiff's Left Eye. And then we're going to go ahead and give the ashes we picked up in the Undead Settlement to the Handmaid to buy the Grave Key for 1,500 souls, and then we're going to look to the right of Andre, where we can find Cornix, the NPC that we freed, above the Cliff Underside bonfire. The first time you talk to Cornix, he's going to give you the welcome gesture, and then you can buy a couple pyromancies. You can buy Fireball, Fire Surge, Great Combustion, and Flash Sweat for a total of 6,500 souls. Now we're going to talk to Grey Rat, and we're going to give him Loretta's Bone, and then reload the area, and he then interact with him again, and you will get the Curl Up gesture. And now we're going to head back to the Cliff Underside bonfire. From the Cliff Underside bonfire, go ahead and head outside and wait for the enemies to pass by. And then you're going to drop down, head into the sewer, and the bigger rat that's at the end of the sewer is going to drop the Bloodbite Ring. And then you're also going to go unlock the locked door here with the Grave Key, follow that path all the way through, and you'll end up finding Irina of Kareem. She'll ask you to touch her, go ahead and do it, and you'll get the prayer gesture, and then you can accept her services, and then we're going to head outside the gate right here. We're going to open the big double doors, and then we're going to ride the elevator inside down. We're going to grab the Road of Sacrifices bonfire, and then ride it back up, go back outside, and you're going to look up and to the left, and you should see a body hanging up there. Go ahead and shoot it down, and if you're lucky, it'll fall down to where you are, but that's unlikely. So once it's down, you're going to backtrack to the area where you got into the cage guy's cage and got moved to the special area. That's where that body's going to be, and it's going to give you the Flame Stoneplate Ring. Now back to the elevator where you met Sigurd for the first time. You're going to ride the elevator up. You're going to meet the giant, and he'll make peace. That way he won't attack you in the future. And then on the way back down, you'll hop off halfway, and you will meet Sigurd again. And you can go ahead and jump into the pit and fight the fire demon with Sigurd, but he has to survive. And if he survives, once the demon's down, talk to him, he will give you the toast and sleep gestures. There is a small roof nearby that is going to have a body hanging next to it. It has a pale tongue that we need, so go ahead and grab that. And then we're going to head up the building, inside and up the building nearby, past some evangelists. And at the top, you're going to find Flynn's ring. And then if you look nearby to a tower, you will be able to jump to that tower. And inside, you got to jump down real careful. And at the bottom is the Chloranthy ring behind some boxes. That's everything in the Undead Settlement, so go back to Firelink Shrine, and if you go up to Lothric's throne, the last boss's throne, you can find an NPC named Ringfinger Leonard. If you talk to him now, he will give you the Lift Chamber Key, so we're going to go ahead and do that quest line. So head to the Tower Bonfire and the High Wall of Lothric, and go down 2 levels to the locked door, open it, and then go down the elevator and beat the Dark Wraith at the bottom. Then head back to Firelink Shrine, talk to Leonard again, and then he will give you the applause gesture. While you're in Firelink again, go ahead and find Irina, the NPC that we freed earlier on the far right side, past Andre, and she will sell you a couple miracles to start with. She will sell you Heal, Replenishment, Caressing Tears, and Homeward for 6,500 souls, and she will also sell you the Saint's Ring for 500 souls. With everything collected, we're now going to go to the Road of Sacrifices. From the Road of Sacrifices bonfire, the only thing I can suggest is to just run past all the Corvids, is what they're called, all the Corvid enemies. They can't really do much to you. Make it to the Halfway Fortress bonfire, light it and sit at it, and then talk to Henri and Horus. These are important NPCs for a quest line. They will relocate to Firelink Shrine, and Horus will give you the Blue Sentinels Covenant. Now, if you backtrack from the Halfway Fortress bonfire onto the bridge, you look down on the left side, you'll see a little landing platform. Go ahead and jump onto that, and then down that path will be a couple dogs. You can also pick up Morn's Ring and the Braille Divine Tome of Kareem. Back to the Halfway Fortress bonfire, you can go down 2 paths outside. You can go down the left path, which is a slope, and the right path, which is a couple ledges. If you follow the right path all the way through, you'll enter a building past a Black Knight, who I think is carrying a halberd, and you can find the Farron coal, which we need for later. Now we're going to head to the Crucifixion Woods bonfire, and from the bonfire you should be able to see 2 giant crabs. The one that's further away from you will drop the Great Swamp Ring when you kill it. Next to where the crab was initially, you're going to find the Great Swamp Pyromancy Tome, and then we're going to head into Farron Keep real fast to grab the bonfire so we don't have to come back through the Road of Sacrifices later. From the Farron Keep bonfire, go back up the ladder, and straight across from you, you'll see a building, and you'll see a little sewer area. Go into that sewer area, and you can pick up the Sage Ring. Just outside of that tunnel, if you do a 180, you'll see a big fire with a couple enemies around it. Down that path is going to be another Estus Shard. And finally, instead of circling the building, we're going to go into it, and you'll come to an area that has a single shield and spear hollow. Just past him is going to be a side path that you have to go down, where you can find another NPC named Orbeck Venheim. You need at least 10 intelligence to talk to him, and then you can recruit him, and he'll go back to Firelink Shrine. Now we're going to take on the Crystal Sage. The Crystal Sage is weak to pretty much all types of damage except magic, so use whatever you see fit. His first phase will be just him, and then as he takes more and more damage, he'll spawn extra sages that are like not real, but they still deal damage. The new sages go down in one hit, and they shoot blue magic instead of purple like the real sage, so they're easy to distinguish. He's easy enough as long as you don't get ganked, you know. Just look for the real sage, take him down, easy enough. After the sage is down, head to Firelink Shrine and trade in its soul for Crystal Hail. And then we're going to talk to two NPCs here. If you look on the stairs next to the path to Andre, you're going to find Cirrus of the Sunless Realm. That's a tongue twister. Go ahead and talk to her. Start that progression. And then to the right of Andre, across from Cornix, is going to be Orbeck. That's where he relocated to. Right now, from him, you can buy Spook, Aural Decoy, Great Soul Arrow, Great Heavy Soul Arrow, and Farron Flash Sword for a total of 14,000 souls. Now we're going to move on to the Cathedral of the Deep. From the Crystal Sage bonfire, move into the Cathedral area, past the first bonfire. On the left side is going to be a little side path where you can pick up the Paladin's Ashes. Now move to the Cleansing Chapel bonfire, where just outside you'll see a couple enemies praying around an item. The item is another Estus Shard. Making your way through the area nearby, you will come to one of the young white trees on the right side, and sitting on one of the graves is going to be your second Undead Bone Shard. From that grave, continue following the path until you can either turn left or right. Going down the right side will open a shortcut into the sewers below. Not sewers, but you know what I mean. At the end of this sewer path, I'm going to keep calling sewers. At the end of this path is a crystal lizard, and behind that lizard is a side path where you can find the poison bite ring. While you make your way through the cathedral, when you get to the sleeping giant, on the right side of his little alcove there is going to be the Lloyd's sword ring. Just past the sleeping giant are two paths. One of the paths is going to take you into an upper area where you can see a cathedral knight below you. On the other side of that area is going to be a chest that holds the Seek Guidance Miracle. Go back one room and then into the other room and you will find a mimic that holds the Deep Braille Divine Tome. Go back to where you found that cathedral knight and then go into the room past it, like where it looks like it comes from. It'll be a big empty room. Go and grab the item on the other side of the room and then turn around and a deep accursed wolf spawned behind you. Go ahead and take it down and you will get Aldrich's Sapphire. When you make it to the area with multiple like pits where you can't walk quickly, it's like poison pits but not poison, go across the way and open the shortcut back to the cleansing chapel, and then do a 180 and open the door on the left side, go up the elevator, and then go around the buildings outside, climb the ladder, and kill that deacon, and he will give you the deep ring. From the deep ring, you're going to go across the rooftops, turn right, and you will come to the rafters, is what I'm just going to call them. Go across the rafters, and you will see a little landing area. Jump down there, and that's going to lead you to the Rosarius Fingers Covenant and the Rosarius Fingers Bonfire. Go ahead and grab both of those. Whatever you do, do not give any Pale Tongues to Rosaria unless you want to wait till New Game Plus to do a different storyline. But what you do need to do is go back to where you fell into that area, and you'll pull this lever to raise the bridge. Make sure you go across and open the giant main doors. That's important for another NPC. With the main doors open, all we have to do now is we have to take down the Deacons of the Deep. And this was a bit of a hard boss fight for me. It took a while, which it really shouldn't have, but the Deacons, you can only attack and deal damage to the boss by one enemy, and it's glowing red, so it's easy to see. But the issue is that all the Deacons can attack you at the same time. They can shoot fireballs, the big ones can use force. It's a hassle. Just make sure you're at full health. It's kind of a DPS check. Once they get to 50% health, it's going to spawn in the real Deacon. It's going to be surrounded by a couple of the bigger blue guys. The goal here is to get the enemies away from the actual Deacon and then do as much damage as you can to the real Deacon in time, because the second part of it becomes a time trial, because they're going to start using a spell that inflicts you with Curse. And if the Curse builds all the way up, it's an instant kill. Either way, once the Deacons are down, you will get their soul and the Peculiar Doll, and then we're going to head back to Firelink. When you make it back to Firelink, make sure that you trade in the Deacon Soul for the Deep Soul Sorcery. Go ahead and grab the tower key now from the Shrine Handmaid for 20,000 souls if you didn't earlier, and then make your way up the tower out the right side of the shrine. Go up the elevator that's nearby, and then come back down, and you should see Patches standing at the gate. You should recognize Patches. Talk to him for a minute. He'll say, haha, you're trapped. And then make your way back to Firelink Shrine. Reload the area, and then Patches will be hanging out in the area of the shrine where you went out to go climb the tower. Talk to him now, answer no to his question, and he will give you the Prostration Gesture. Then you can go ahead and reload the area, and then he'll be in a different position, and you can get the Patches Squat Gesture. And then go ahead and talk to him, and you can buy the Horsehoof Ring, and you're also going to buy the Katarina set for 15.5 thousand souls. Head back to the Cleansing Chapel Bonfire, and just outside you're going to find a well, and if you talk to the well, you will talk to Sigurd of Katarina, for whatever reason he's down there. Go ahead and throw his armor down to him, and he will give you the Rejoice Gesture. We are now done with the Cathedral, so now we're going to head to Farron Keep. From the Farron Keep bonfire, head out into the swamp, and a few feet to your right, you should see the Iron Flesh Pyromancy. And then if you keep following the right wall, you will come to an area with basilisks. Past those basilisks should be a cave that holds the Golden Scroll. Go ahead and pick that up. Next, from the Keep Ruins bonfire, we're going to go down the ramp and hug the left wall. You will come across a giant crab. Go ahead and kill that crab for the Lingering Dragon Crest ring. And then keep following the left wall, and you eventually come to a clearing of mushroom people that are dead. Next to those mushroom people is the Sage Scroll. Go ahead and pick that up too. Make sure that you grab your third Undead Bone Shard from the Slug Tower nearby. Back to the Keep Ruins bonfire. If you look to the right side this time, you can hop off and climb the really long ladder. It's going to take you to the Watchdogs of Farron Covenant. Go ahead and join them. And then on the outside of that building, turn left, and you'll come to an illusory wall that is going to hold the Dream Chaser's ashes. Go ahead and pick those up. Go ride the elevator up, and you will come to a stray demon. Take that demon down, get his soul, and then do a 180 and go to the end of the bridge. On the right side, you should see a path where you have to fall off the ledge. Follow that, and you'll eventually come to a body that is holding the Lightning Spear Miracle. After you've snuffed out all the flames and made your way to the Keep Perimeter bonfire, you're going to keep going past it, and you will come to another Ravenous Crystal Lizard. Next to that lizard is going to be the Great Magic Weapon Sorcery. Go ahead and do a 180 and head back to the Keep Perimeter bonfire, and look on the left side. You'll eventually come to a hole in the wall. Go through that hole, and you can pick up the Atonement Miracle. When you get back to the bonfire, go ahead and ember up, and nearby should be a summon sign for the Londor Pale Shade. Summon them, and they will give you the Dual Bow Gesture. All that's left is to take on the Abyss Watchers. The Abyss Watchers are fast, but they don't deal that much damage, but they can also double and triple team you because they spawn throughout the boss arena. It's a whole thing. Just keep damage on the main enemy. You'll know which one it is because it's the only one without a health bar over its head. And once you get to phase 2, it's going to be pretty much the same fight, but it now has fire on its sword, and it has like trailing fire on some attacks, and it has an overhead AoE attack that deals fire damage. So just take the Abyss Watchers down, and we're going to head back to Firelink. We've got a lot to do here, so let's get to it. First, we're going to give the Paladin's Ashes and the Dream Cherish's Ashes to the Handmaid, and then you're going to buy the Life Ring and the Lloyd's Shield Ring for 4,000 souls. Give both the scrolls we found to Orbeck, and then you're going to buy Great Farron Dart, Farron Hail, Pestilent Mist, Cast Light, Repair, Hidden Weapon, Hidden Body, and Twisted Wall of Light for a total of 21,500 souls. And then talk to him again to get the Silent Ally Gesture and the Slumbering Dragon Crest Ring. And if you didn't start as a sorcerer, you'll also get the Young Dragon Ring. Give the tome you have to Cornix, and then you can buy Fire Orb, Bursting Fireball, Poison Mist, and Profuse Sweat for a total of 12,000 souls. Trade in the Stray Demon's Soul with Ludleth for either Hovel's Ring or the Boulder Heave Pyromancy. Either one is fine, we'll do the other one in our New Game Plus run-through. Talk to Cirrus to get the Dark Moon Loyalty Gesture, and then place the Abyss Watcher's Cinders on their throne, which is the second one on the right side, and then talk to Hawkwood to get the Farron Ring. Now we're going to go on to the Catacombs of Carthus. From the Abyss Watcher's Bonfire, go ahead and cross the bridge, and then climb the stairs on the left, follow that path. You'll come to a ladder down. At the bottom of that ladder is going to be the Carthus Pyromancy Tome. Back up the ladder, and then all the way down the stairs. Straight ahead, you will be able to find a side path where you can find Henri for the second time. Go ahead and talk to her now and answer no to all of her questions, and that'll progress her quest line a little bit. Going down the giant central staircase, you should spawn in a giant skeleton ball. Where it goes down into the next area, if you look on the right side, you will find a skeleton wearing a hat. That's a mage skeleton. Take him down, and the next time the ball rolls through that area, it's going to smash against the grate, and it's going to drop the 4th Undead Bone Shard. Around the corner will be an area with a bunch of pots. At the back side of those pots, you're going to find the Carthus Milk Ring. Go past the next area with a giant rolling ball, and at the bottom of the stairs, turn right and follow that long path past some wheel skeletons, and you will come to find the Carthus Blood Ring. Go ahead and ember up, and then you're going to enter the room next to where the second giant ball hits the wall, and you will be invaded by Nightslayer Sorg. Whether you kill him or are killed by him, he's going to give you the My Thanks gesture. Now we're going to go past the area where you're ambushed by all the skeletons, where the bridge is. Follow the right path and you'll find Henri again. Go ahead and answer no to her questions, and now we're going to take on Wolnir. Once you've touched the goblet, you're going to be transported to Wolnir's boss arena. He is not that hard, but he can be intimidating. Make sure you ignore the item in the middle for now. Go to his left hand where you can see like the bracelet glowing. And if you have enough DPS, you can break this left bracelet in the first go. But the goal here is to break the 3 bracelets he's wearing, and that'll be the end of the boss fight. Once you break the left one, you're going to focus on the right hand, and we do that for a good reason. The left one's much harder to defeat if you've beaten one of the right ones first. So just take down all 3 bracelets and make sure you grab the Grave Warden Pyromancy Tome from the middle before you get teleported out. Once you beat Walnir, we're going to backtrack to the bridge, go ahead and chop it down, and then climb down the bridge. It acts like a ladder. Run past the fire demon, we don't need to kill him for anything. And at the end of the hall in front of you is going to be the Witch's Ring, just before you get to the Smouldering Lake bonfire. Once you enter Smouldering Lake, go ahead and turn right, and you'll find a cave where you can find Horus the Hushed. He's a guy that was hanging out with Henri in the Road of Sacrifices. You need to go ahead and kill him now. Once you take down Horus and make your way back out the cave, pretty much directly across from you is going to be a small breakable wall on the other side of the lake. Go to that wall and let the ballista destroy it, and you can pick up the speckled stone plate ring. Now we're going to go to the giant worm. We're actually going to go behind it. And if you sit behind this ridge, you can wait patiently, and the ballista will take the giant worm on its own, and you will get your 5th undead bone shard, and you will get lightning stake. Go ahead and light the nearby bonfire, and then we're going to head into the next room that has all the pillars and the guys that make the fireballs that shoot at you on their own. At the end of this room, if you turn left up the staircase, is going to be your 6th undead bone shard. At the opposite end of the room is going to be a hallway on the right that has some rats in it. You're going to follow down the pathway until you come to the corpse of one of the Isilith sisters, and you can pick up the Quelana Pyromancy Tome. On your left is going to be your first lava pit of 2, so go ahead and equip your best fire defense gear, use any red bug pellets if you have them, and then cast either Profuse Sweat or Flash Sweat. I don't think you can do both. But the first item in the pit is going to be Toxic Mist, and that's the only one we need here. We're going to keep following the path we're on, and you will come to a staircase past the basilisks. Instead of going up, go head to the left, and you will come up to the real Nightslayer Soreg. You can take him down, and then he will give you the Nightslayer Soreg's ring. The item on the left wall in that lava pit is the Sacred Flame Pyromancy. Now make your way to the other bonfire in the Smouldering Lake, which is through a couple of rooms. And there will be an illusory wall, and at the end of this room is going to be another Estus shard. And then back from the bonfire, if you look down the hallway, you'll see a room with a Gru sitting down. There's an item in front of it. That item is the Isilith Pyromancy Tome. Now we're going to take on the boss of the Smouldering Lake, the Old Demon King. From the nearby bonfire, if you've already beaten Sorg, you can summon him here, and there's also a summon in front of the boss fog. The boss itself is not that hard, just keep your distance and use whatever you see fit if you're using magic. If not, watch out for his wide sweeping attacks, and then make sure that you look out when he starts waving his big stick in the air, because he's going to summon meteors from the sky. And then once he gets down to 10% health, he's going to go down on his knees. He'll do one big AoE attack, and then he'll only kind of sweep from where he's laying, so at that point he's pretty much done. With the Old Demon King down, we're going to do one more thing. Head back to Wolnir's bonfire, and then you're going to go out and you're going to cross the bridge into Irithyll, and then halfway across that bridge, it's going to spawn a Sullivan's Beast behind you. And if you beat that beast, it's going to give you the Pontiff's Right Eye Ring. Cross the bridge, light the bonfire, and then go back onto the bridge, and about halfway down, you should find Sirris's summon sign, another tongue twister. Go ahead and interact with that summon sign, and you'll be transported to Sirris's world, where you can help her fight Creighton the Wanderer. Just beat Creighton. It doesn't matter how many times you have to do it, because you don't really lose anything. So just beat Creighton, and then we're going to head back to Firelink Shrine. In Firelink, we're going to trade the Old Demon King Soul for Chaos Bed Vestiges, and we're going to trade Wolnir Soul for Black Serpent. Give the Carthus and Izalith Pyromancy Tomes to Cornix, and then you can buy Great Chaos Fire Orb, Chaos Storm, Acid Surge, Carthus Beacon, and Carthus Flame Arc for 46,000 souls. Lastly, we're going to talk to Sirris to get the Silver Cat Ring, and then we're going to head to Irithyll of the Boreal Valley. Go ahead and head to the Church of Yorshka bonfire and have a chat with Henri. Talk to her twice, and she will give you the Ring of the Evil Eye and the Quiet Resolve gesture. Backtrack from the Church of Yorshka, and on your right side is going to be a set of railings. The first railing on the right is going to be an illusory railing. Roll through it, and at the end of this path, you'll see an evangelist in a pit. Kill that evangelist, and you will get Dory's Gnawing. If you go out the church the correct way and you turn right into the graveyard, you'll come to one with a Corvid in front of it. On the back side of it is going to be your 7th Undead Bone Shard. Now make your way to the shallow pond where you can't really run, and on the right side is going to be an alcove where you can find a grub that is holding the Great Heal Miracle. Go ahead and light the Distant Manor bonfire, and then backtrack into the sewers where you can find Sigurd for your 3rd time, I believe. Here he's going to give you the Emit Force Miracle. When you get to the room with the 3 silver knights, you're going to head upstairs, where there will be 3 chests. One of them holds the Leo ring. And lastly, just before you fight the boss of the arena, you're going to ember up, and there will be 2 summon signs at least. There might be 3. The one in the middle is going to be Blackhand Gotthard, and if you summon him, he's going to give you the By My Sword gesture. Now we're going to take on Pontiff Sullivan. If you've got summons, this fight is a lot easier. Otherwise, head into the boss arena, and as soon as you get up the stairs, you can go ahead and parry. I never got it. I'm not good at parrying this boss. But if you do, you can get a lot of damage in. You can get a riposte. Otherwise, he's got a very long range with some of his attacks. So if you're dealing magic, keep your distance and attacking from a distance. If you're doing physical, just make sure you sweep to his back, and then you can attack and get a shot or 2 in every time. At half health, he's going to spawn in a shade. That's the best way to say it. And the shade will predict his attacks. The shade will attack, and then he will attack with the same thing. So you can watch the shade to know what he's going to do, or you can take the shade out and just deal with Sullivan. Either way, once he's down, go ahead and light the bonfire, and we're going to head into, I guess, the rest of Irithyll. It's not Anor Londo yet. Just before you go to the rest of Irithyll, you're going to do a 180 from the boss's bonfire, and you're going to walk off the ledge straight in front of you. You're going to land on a throne where you can pick up the Ring of the Sun's Firstborn, and then walk off the throne, and on the left is going to be an illusory wall. Behind that wall is going to be the magic clutch ring. Now on to the rest of Irithyll. When you get out, turn left, go up the stairs, and you come to an area with a bunch of giants laying in the middle. On the left side is a bridge. Underneath that bridge, on the right side, is the dark stone plate ring. Now go into the building that's across from the entrance to this area, and on the left side is going to be an illusory wall. Go ahead and take that wall out, go down the ladder. It's a very long ladder. And you will find 2 of Soleil's beasts. If you take both of those out, then the second one is going to drop the Ring of Favor. While you're down there, go ahead and light the bonfire, and then interact with Archdeacon McDonald to discover the Aldrich's Faithful Covenant. Going back up the ladder, it's time for some painful memories. You're going to find 6 Silver Knights hanging up in this area, and it's very similar to Anor Londo in the first game. Do your best to make your way up the first set of roofs. When you get up to the first platform, go to the right. There's a small set of stairs down where you can pick up the Easterner's Ashes. Once you make your way to Anor Londo Bonfire, the actual one at the bottom of the grand staircase, light it, and then go back onto the elevator, go all the way down, and you will take an invisible path to the left where you can discover the Blades of the Darkmoon Covenant. Before we continue through Anor Londo, we're going to make a trip back to Firelink Shrine. You will turn in the Easterner's Ashes to the Handmaid to buy the Wood Grain Ring for 3,000 souls, and then you're going to find Yuria and give a chat with her. She will congratulate you, tell you that everything is ready, and then head back to Anor Londo one more time, and we're going to get married. In Anor Londo, make sure you ride the elevator down, and directly across from where it stops is going to be an illusory wall. It's where Lord Gwyn would have been in Dark Souls 1. You're going to head down that path, and there will be a pilgrim that you talk to. He's going to give you a ceremonial sword, and then continue onward, and you will come to the body of Henri. Go ahead and interact with her to, quote, get married. You stab her a little bit. And then once she has been stabbed a little bit, you're going to go down the right side of the tomb, and you will find the reversal ring in a chest. Head back towards Anor Londo, where the pilgrim was, and you will find the chameleon sorcery on his body.
Ah, I presume thy holy wonderful. With the spouse, the strength to claim the thy lordship. I prithee rest I, Yuria, and all.
Make sure that you grab the giant's coal from where the giant was in Dark Souls 1. Now we're going to open up the shortcut from the inside of Anor Londo to the outside. When you open up the big double doors, you're going to make another deep accursed spawn. Once you take this one down, it's going to drop Aldrich's Ruby. Now we just need to take on Aldrich, and this is easier said than done. Aldrich is weak to fire, and the lower half of his body does take extra damage, so take that into account. Aldrich has a couple moves, one of them being his Rain of Arrows, which is particularly difficult in Phase 2. If you get that one in Phase 1, you can kind of just run through it and roll through it. He also has some sweeping attacks, and he can shoot the little... It's like a Farron Hail type move, but it comes up in the air. Once he gets to Phase 2, he'll be much more difficult. If he does the overhead arrows attack in Phase 2, just make sure you have a full stamina bar and run as far away from him as you can, because it will chase you for a very long time. Once Phase 2 is done, that'll be Aldrich. and then you're going to make your way up the elevators that spawn. You're going to make your way to Guinevere's room, and you will pick up the Sun Princess ring there. In Irithyll Dungeon, go ahead and run off the ledge straight in front of you, and you will land next to a corpse grub that is going to drop the sorcery Great Magic Shield. Go back up to the first floor, cross the bridge, turn right, and go through the cells here. When you get out, turn left and open the shortcut, and then do a 180, and in one of the cells you'll be able to find the Jailbreaker's key. Now go back across the bridge and turn left, and the door at the very end you can open with the Jailbreaker's key. Drop down and you will be able to pick up the Bellowing Dragon Crest ring. Just past the 3 enemies that are nearby, you can find another Estus shard, which is held by a mimic. Past the Sleeping Giant, all the way to the end of the sewers, you can find 2 chests, one of which is a mimic holding the Dark Clutch ring, and the other one holds the Old Cell Key, which we need for quest progression. In the pit where the giant is, or was, you can find the Profaned Flame Pyromancy. Now make your way back into the sewers, and in the room on the right, past the giant rats, you will come to the room that I'm going to call the Jailer's Room. Turn left in the Jailer's Room, and you will come to a shortcut and some sleeping dragons. Go ahead and get that shortcut, and then on the way back, you're going to hop off halfway to get the Lightning Blade Miracle. Back into the Jailer's Room, if you go into the first room on the left, it'll be a bunch of corpse grubs. The item in the back left of that room is the Profaned Coal. And in the room next to the Corpse Grub room with the Xanthus Ashes, you're going to find the Dust Crown ring. Now we're going to make our way into the Profaned Capital. In the Profaned Capital, next to the bonfire, go ahead and interact with that body to get your 8th Undead Bone Shard and the Stretch Out Gesture. Fun fact, that is Laddersmith Gilligan from Dark Souls 1. Now take the alternate path through Profaned Capital, not to Yorm. You will come to a toxic pit and a church building inside. Go ahead and cross the pit, and you will climb up the church building, and you will find a sorcerer that is going to drop Logan's Scroll. Go ahead and take the stairs up past the roof, and at the end of this path, you will find the Jailer's Key ring. Grab that, and then head back to the rooftops, and you should see a window that is busted out that you can jump into. Jump into that window, and at the top, use the Old Cell Key to free Sigurd, and pick up the covetous Gold Serpent ring. Freeing Sigurd will get you a Titanite slab, which we need for an achievement later. And then we're going to head back out onto the roof, and there will be a drop in. Go ahead and drop into that, and you'll be able to pick up the Wrath of the Gods Miracle. Head back into the pit to pick up one more thing. You can grab the Fleshbite ring from the cave that is across from the church. It's going to be the item that is on the left side of the cave. Just be careful of the toxic. With the Jailer's Key ring, go back to the Profaned Capital bonfire and backtrack into the Irithyll dungeon. On the left side is going to be a locked cage. Go ahead and open that and interact with the NPC inside. Her name is Carla. She will move to Firelink Shrine, and you'll talk to her soon. And lastly, in the Profaned Capital, we're going to take on Yorm. Now, if you have been following along and you freed Sigurd in the Profaned Capital, he will help you fight Yorm. Either way, once you get into the fight, you're going to run to the opposite side of the arena, and there's going to be an item there called the Storm Ruler. It doesn't have any requirements, so go ahead and equip it, and Yorm is a gimmick boss. The gimmick is that you are using this Storm Ruler, which is a weapon specifically made for Yorm, to take him down. If you hold the left trigger, or L2 if you're playing PlayStation, you will build up like a wind attack, and once that wind attack is built up, if you aim at his head and use it, it'll do a fifth of his health bar, and then after that point he's going to become more aggro. Just keep using that wind attack and you will eventually take him down. And if you've already taken down Aldrich and Yorm, then you are going to be teleported to the Dancer arena automatically. the Dancer is a little bit harder than some of the bosses we fought so far. She's very fast and has very long range attacks, but she also has a long like idle animation where she just kind of walks around the arena. So take advantage of her being idle. If you use miracles, just keep your if you use spells, just keep your distance, and she won't be that hard. When she gets to phase 2, she's going to pull another sword out of the ground. That's a good time to get damage in as a magic user. If you are a melee character, make sure you get as much distance as possible, because she's going to use a spinning attack that will definitely cover the entire arena, even if she starts facing the other way. Otherwise, in the second phase, just look out for extra attacks based on the combos she already had from phase 1. She's not that hard, it just takes patience and making sure that you stay at full health, because she can take you out in one combo. Once she is down, we're going to head back to Farron Shrine. In Firelink, we're going to give the scroll we picked up to Orbeck to buy Homing Soul Mass and Soul Spear for 11,000 souls. We'll find Carla to the left of Andre, near Greyrat. Go ahead and give her both of the tomes you have, and you'll have to ask her twice to take the Pyromancy tomes that you have, but she will give you those. She will take those tomes from you. And then you're going to buy Affinity and Dark Edge, Fire Whip, Firestorm, Rapport, Black Flame, Black Fire Orb, Vow of Silence, Dead Again, Dark Blade, Gnaw, and Deep Protection for a total of 88,000 souls. Now that's a lot. Head to Irina and give her the last tome that you have, and then you can buy Medium Heal, Tears of Denial, and Force for 14,500 souls. Lastly, we're going to give the Dancer Soul to Lilith for Soothing Sunlight, and Aldrich's Soul for the Life Hunt Scythe. Now we're going to head back to the Dancer's Bonfire. From the Dancer's Bonfire, go up the stairs and go to the left, and you're going to come to the Consumed King's Garden. If you jump off the first elevator halfway, you can find another Estus Shard on the right side. Now, if you look on the right side of the arena, you will eventually come to a small building with an elevator up. This is going to be a shortcut back to the Dancer's Bonfire. If you go back down the elevator and hop off halfway, you will come to the Dragon Scale Ring. Before Osiris's boss fog, you're going to find 2 Cathedral Knights. The one that is actually guarding the hallway. When you kill him, he's going to drop the Magic Stoneplate Ring. Now we're going to take on Osiris. His first phase is super easy. He's very passive. Just lay the damage in, and he will eventually get to his second phase. Go ahead and get a few more attacks in now while he slams his hands on the ground, and then get your distance, because phase 2 is much more hectic than phase 1. He has a lot of very fast attacks. He has a near instant charging attack that is extremely hard to dodge, and in my case, it took all of my stamina bar at once. So just keep your distance if you're a magic user. If you're a melee user, also keep your distance, but as he charges you, you're going to want to kind of turn around and head to where he's going to end up, because at the end of his big attacks, he has a wind down where he just stands still and does nothing. Either way, look out for a couple attacks. He has a breath attack, which does frostbite, and he's just a little bit harder than some of the bosses we've come to at this point. But with Osiris down, you're going to continue down the path behind his door. You eventually come to a body that is holding the Path of the Dragon gesture, and then you're going to go through the illusory wall behind the chest in front of you, and you will come to the Untended Graves. In the Untended Graves, go back to your original spawn point where you first started the game, and you will pick up the Ashen Estus Ring. Now all that's left to do right now is to fight Gundyr 2.0. Gundyr's first phase is just like the original boss fight, there's no difference. But instead of transforming into a monster in the second phase, he just gets hyper aggressive. Like, way more aggressive than I would have thought he did. If you're skilled at parrying, this is not going to be that difficult of a fight. If you are not skilled at parrying, you're going to have to get good at it. And the only move that I could consistently parry was his overhead slam, as you'll see in this boss fight. So if you can focus on learning how to parry one or two moves, then you can get the extra damage in. You can either riposte or just get critical attacks that way. Either way, this is probably the second hardest boss fight in my opinion of the whole game. With Gundyr down, you're going to head into the burnt out Firelink Shrine. You're going to grab the coiled sword fragment out of the center. It's a homeward bone, but with infinite uses. And then you can find the Shrine Handmaid, and she will sell you the Priestess Ring for 1,000 souls. And lastly, head up and to the right side of Firelink Shrine, where you go to use the Tower Key. And if you look off to the right, you will see a Black Knight in a body. That body is holding the Hornet Ring. Now we're going to go back to the Dancer's Bonfire and make our way into Lothric Castle. There's nothing to get in Lothric Castle until we get to the Dragon Barracks, so head that way. Going over the first bridge in Dragon Barracks, you're going to hop off on the further side. You can land on two different ledges underneath. If you hop off on the further side, you can pick up the 9th Undead Bone Shard. That is the last thing to grab in this area, so you're going to go ahead and make your way all the way to the Boss Fog. You're going to, just in front of it, we have a couple things we need to grab. Standing in front of the Boss Fog, if you turn to the right, you will come to an area that is like a small church. If you go outside that church and turn right, you will find the red Tearstone Ring. If you turn left facing the Boss Fog, you will come to a ladder up to the roof. Go across that ladder, across the roof, kill those enemies. Inside that next room, you're going to find the Knight's Ring, and if you do a 180 and go down that path, past the Lothric Knight, you will come to the Heirs of the Sun, or the Warriors of Sunlight statue, where you can get the Praise the Sun gesture. In front of the fog one more time, if you look to the left past the ladder, you can see a ledge with the other Dragon Claw. Hop down there, and inside you will find the Braille Divine Tome of Lothric. That's everything, so now we're going to go ahead and fight the Dragon Slayer armor. The Dragon Slayer armor is pretty shield heavy, but his attacks can cover a very long range, and they can deal a lot of damage in one hit. So first phase, just keep your distance. If you can roll around to his back when he does an attack, that's a good idea. Second phase, he starts by buffing himself, and then the pilgrims, the giant pilgrims on the side that probably haven't even looked at yet, they're going to start shooting like meatballs at you that can deal damage. They don't stun you, but they do deal damage. He also has lightning attacks in his second phase, and he has some long-range wind attacks that he can use his sword for. So look out for those. This boss fight's not that hard, especially if you take your time, have lots of health. Otherwise, now we're going to head on to the Grand Archives once the Dragon Slayer armor is down. There's a few things to get in the Grand Archives, and there's also a Crystal Sage mini-boss that we need to take down. The Sage will start on the bottom floor, straight ahead of you when you open the main doors, and he will climb the Grand Archives with you. You just have to deal some damage to him at each location, and he will move on to the next location. Just past the first group of wax guys, next to the big wax bath, you come to a big dark library. On the opposite wall of where you enter, next to the third bookshelf, is going to be a lever. Pull that lever and then turn left, and you'll see some bookcases opening, and inside that is going to be the Power Within Pyromancy. On the way up next, we're going to be looking for an area where there is a single wax guy on the left hiding behind a wall, and a couple bookcases on your right, and you should see a dark room in front of you on the left. In that room is a Boreal Knight. You can take him down or not, but moving through that room, you can find the Soul Stream Sorcery. After you make it to the top of the archives and you take down the Crystal Sage, you will get the Crystal Scroll, and then if you do a 180 and head back to the beginning of the bridge, you will find a lever. Pull that lever, and the bookcases next to you will open, revealing the Scholar's Ring. Next, when you make it across the rooftops, you will eventually come to an area where you go back in through like a stained glass window. Just inside that window is going to be the 10th and final Undead Bone Shard. Just before you make it outside to where the 3 Black Hand enemies are, if you do a 180, you will see a long row of books on the ground. If you make it to the end of those cursed books, you will find the Fleshbite Ring. Once you make it outside, you can run past all the Black Hand enemies. You can activate the shortcut back to the beginning of the archives, and then make your way outside and climb the nearby staircase, cross over the rooftops, and you'll make it to another central staircase where there's going to be 3 Winged Knights that drop down. You can ignore them. Climb to the very top, and you will pick up the Hunter's Ring. From the Hunter's Ring, go back down that staircase, and you will head inside the building where you can drop into what looks like a bird cage. You can pick up the Divine Pillars of Light Miracle. Now we need to take on the Twin Princes. So make your way to the boss fog. Make sure you activate the shortcut before that, just in case, because I know I died a lot. Once you get inside, you're going to be confronted by 1 boss and then 2 bosses for Phase 2. In Phase 1, it's not that difficult. He has a couple combo attacks, and he can teleport behind you. Nothing personal, kid. When he teleports, just make sure you're locked on, and make sure you delay your roll for a second, because he's not likely to swing right away. He is weak to fire, and then Phase 2 is weak to dark, so use those accordingly if you have them. Once you get to Phase 2, it's pretty similar to Phase 1. The only difference is that you're going to have to kill the smaller of the Twin Princes to actually end the boss fight. Once you take down the bigger prince, he's going to go down for a minute. That gives you time to attack the smaller prince, and then he will eventually resurrect his brother, but at half health. You have a couple more attacks to watch out at this point for. The smaller prince can use one of those big orb attacks in the sky that sends out a bunch of little orbs that deal a lot of damage if they all hit you. And he also has his own version of Soul Spear. So look out for both of those, and once you take down the Twin Princes, we're going to head back to Farron Keep. In Firelink, we're going to give the Osiris' Soul for the White Dragon Breath spell, and we're going to give Gundir's Soul for the Prisoner's Chain. We're going to give the last scroll to Orbeck, and we're going to buy Homing Crystal Soul Mask, Crystal Soul Spear, and Crystal Magic Weapon for 43,000 souls. Give the last tome to Irina and you can buy Bountiful Light, Blessed Weapon, and Magic Barrier for 18,000 souls. And lastly, head to Irithyll Dungeon, and you're going to head to the area where you see the dragons sitting. You can see an area in the distance. You're going to sit next to one of those dragons and perform the Path of the Dragon gesture to be taken to Archdragon Peak. In Archdragon Peak, just before you enter the first fog gate, you're going to go to the left side and you will pick up the Lightning Clutch Ring. Entering the boss fog, you're going to end up facing off against the Ancient Wyvern. It's much more smart to ignore the Wyvern and just run straight through his area, avoiding all the enemies if you can, because at the very end of this area, you're going to come to a platform above the dragon's head. He's going to do a little fire breath attack that doesn't deal any damage to you, and then you need to plunge down and use an R1 attack on his head. It'll be an instant kill. When you're teleported to the new area, light the bonfire, and then just inside that room will be a small altar. Use Path of the Dragon here to get the Calamity Ring. Head through the next door and you'll be back in the Ancient Wyvern's arena. Make your way down to the ground and past the bell that was at the very end of the first path. You will come to a small area where you can go around the corner, go along the ledge. You can pick up the Ring of Steel Protection. Making your way to the second bonfire from where you're teleported to, you're going to come to an area with wooden rafters on the right side. If you climb the ladder at the beginning of these rafters, you will find the Thunderstone Plate Ring. From the Great Belfry Bonfire, which is the next one in the area, you're going to go into the courtyard and follow the right side. You'll come to another tower that you climb up where there's a rock lizard. And if you get past the rock lizard and climb that ladder, you're going to come to an enemy that everyone should know. Havel the Rock. You can ignore Havel unless you want to fight him. But from his arena on the left side, from where you come in, is going to be a ledge. At the end of that path is going to be another rock lizard guarding the Great Magic Barrier Miracle. With everything picked up, it is now time to fight what is, in my opinion, the hardest boss of the entire series. From the Great Belfry Bonfire, make sure you backtrack. You will come to a small platform with a lever to pull. Go ahead and pull the lever and you will enter a fog arena, like a fog version of Archdragon Peak. And we're going to take on the Nameless King. Now, phase 1 of Nameless King is not difficult. He's riding the dragon. He has a couple attacks that can deal a lot of damage, but as long as you focus on the Nameless King, which is the person riding the dragon, when he goes to attack, then you won't really be hit. And then once they finish attacking and are waiting to start the new attack, you can get some damage in, and you can even stun and riposte the dragon for extra damage. So phase 1's not that hard, but phase 2 is a different story. For phase 2, you're going to be looking out for a whole new set of attacks. He has a lot of really long range attacks, like he has the ground sweeping attacks that can be really wide or really narrow and fast. Just keep your distance on those. Really, for the first half of the phase 2, just make sure you keep your distance, and then you can get some damage in once he's not attacking. If you can get him in a loop where he just walks towards you, that's your best time to get damage in, but that's difficult to do, and avoid his attacks at the same time. Once he gets to half health, he's going to ramp it up. He's going to be a lot more aggressive, and he's going to have a couple new attacks. He has an attack where he gathers lightning in a spear, and then he points it up at the sky. About a second and a half after he points it up to the sky, you're going to want to roll out of the way to dodge that attack. He's also got an overhead slam attack with lightning that when it hits the ground, it has a big AoE, and then it kind of has little tendrils that come out after the fact in a specific pattern. Just keep your distance on that one too. All in all, he's just a really hard fight in my opinion. You got to get used to his attacks, how much damage he does, what you can and can't avoid, and what you can and can't punish. It's really rewarding when it's done, but damn is it hard. Once you finally take down the Nameless King, we're going to head to Firelink Shrine. We're going to trade his soul in for Lightning Storm, and then we're going to go pick up a few more things before we fight the final boss. Head to Undead Settlement and go talk to the giant that shoots arrows for you around the young white trees. If you've gathered all the young white branches in the world, he will be dead, and next to him will be the Hawk Ring. If you didn't gather all the branches, then you need to kill him to get the Hawk Ring. And now we're going to farm out all the Covenant rewards, which is probably the most time-consuming part, to get the last miracles and rings and spells and whatnot before we fight the final boss. You need to grab vertebra shackles from the Carthus skeletons, just past the Catacombs of Carthus bonfire where the second giant ball is rolling. You need 30 of those in total. You get Wolf's Blood Swordgrass from the Gru that are just outside the Abyss Watchers fight. You need 30 of those. You also get Pale Tongues from the Dark Wraiths that are right next to them that end up attacking them in the long run. You need 10 of those. You get the proof of a Concord kept from the Silver Knights in Anor Londo. You get 3 from the Anor Londo bonfire, and then if you go down the elevator, there are 6 more. You need 30 of those. You get human dregs from the deacons that are on that bridge in Irithyll of the Boreal Valley just before you get to Anor Londo. You need 10 of those. And lastly, you get sunlight medals from the Lothric Knights in Lothric Castle, from the Lothric Castle bonfire. A lot of Lothric. You need 30 of those. You give the Wolf's Blood Swordgrass to the Watchdogs of Farron, which is found above Farron Keep. Give 30 of those to get the Wolf Ring. You give 10 pale tongues to Rosaria's fingers, which is in the Cathedral of the Deep, and you will get the obscuring ring from her. You need to give the 30 concords to the Blades of the Dark Moon, which are next to the Anor Londo bonfire. You will get the Dark Moon ring and the Dark Moon Blade Miracle. You need to give the 10 human dregs to the Aldrich's Faithful Covenant, which is found in the Water Reserve bonfire in Irithyll of the Boreal Valley. You will get the final spell, which is Great Deep Soul. You're going to trade in your Vertebra Shackles to the Mound Maker's Covenant, which is where you ended up fighting the Curse Rite of Greatwood. Trade in 30 of those, and you will get the Warmth Pyromancy. And you give the 30 Sunlight Medals to the Warriors of Sunlight, which is found just before the Dragon Slayer Armor's boss arena. You will get Sacred Oath and Great Lightning Spear Miracles. Now we're going to head to the Rosaria's Fingers bonfire, and you will find Ringfinger Leonard standing at the entrance to that room. Go ahead and talk to him, and then reload the area. And next to Rosaria, you should find the Black Eye Orb. Pick that up, and then you're going to head to the Guinevere's Chamber from Dark Souls 1, just after the Aldrich boss fight, and you'll get a message that the Black Eye Orb is quivering, or something along those lines. Use it, and you will invade Ringfinger Leonard. If you kill him, you will get Rosaria's soul. You can either give that soul back to the Rosaria's Fingers Covenant, and you can respawn her, or you can use that soul to trade in to get the Bountiful Sunlight Miracle. And it is finally time to take on the final boss of the game, the Soul of Cinder. So head back to Farron Lake Shrine, go ahead and put the rest of the major boss souls on their thrones, and interact with the bonfire in the middle to be teleported to the Kiln of the First Flame. If you've been following along my playthrough, you should be able to summon Yuria of Londor for this final fight. Phase 1 is not that difficult when everything is said and done. He deals fire damage and he is weak to dark and lightning damage, so take those into effect. He has a couple different weapons that he can use, and he can switch between them freely. His first one is a plain sword, so it just deals, regular sort of attacks. You can keep your distance, or you can get in close and dodge his attacks and punish the end of his combos. He also has a spear attack, which covers a spear that he uses, which covers a lot more range. But all said on that one, it's not that hard either. Just keep your distance and make sure you dodge to the left or the right of his charging attacks. He has a staff that he can use, which he can use to obviously use spells. He has Soul Spear, Farron Hail, Soul Stream. I'm trying to think of the rest of them. He can use Homing Soul Mask, and that can auto regenerate. So be careful of that one. If he gets out of that phase, he can still use that one. And then finally, he has a Curved Sword, which is his fastest and probably most dangerous form. Take this form out as quickly as you can if it does end up, coming around. Otherwise, once you take him down for the first time, he's going to do a big AoE attack, and then you're going to go into phase 2. Phase 2 is not that difficult, especially if you have a summon. The only attack really to bother about here is his 5-hit combo attack. He does a really big arcing sweep, which is easy enough to get away from, but if he hits you once, then you're stuck in the combo, and that's pretty much it. Either way, Phase 2 is easier than Phase 1 in my opinion. Once he's down for the second time, you're going to, if you've been following along with my playthrough, you'll have the 8 Dark Sigils that you need, and when you interact with the bonfire, you're going to get the Usurpation of Fire ending. When it comes to playthrough number 2, we're going to say no. You're going to head back to Farron Lake Shrine and go to Ludless Corpse, and you will be able to trade the Soul of Cinder Soul for Sunlight Spear, and you're going to collect the skull ring from where he was. And then now we're going to go to the bonfire and start playthrough number 2. Playthroughs number 2 and 3 are much more fast paced. You can pretty much run through the whole game, so we're just going to do like rapid fire on stuff we need to pick up and things we need to do, so let's get to it. In the Cemetery of Ash, next to the first Ravenous Crystal Lizard, you're going to find the Speckled Stoneplate Ring +1. In Farron Lake Shrine, make sure you grab the tower key and go to the very top and grab the Soul of a Firekeeper, and you can go ahead and give that to the Firekeeper in the shrine if you want to now. In the High Wall of Lothric, go to these rooftops where you go down a ladder to go to the area to pick up the cell key. Instead of going down, make sure you jump across the roofs and you can pick up the Fleshbite Ring +1. In the Undead Settlement, next to where you find Secret for the first time, you can also find the Life Ring +1. And next to where you find the Mortician's Ashes in the graveyard, you're also going to find the Poison Bite Ring +1. Make sure that you beat the Cursed Rod of Greatwood, and then we're going to move on to the Word of Sacrifices. From the Crucifixion Woods bonfire, make sure you ember up and you kill the Invader Yellowfinger Hazel. And then next to the first giant crab is going to be the Lingering Dragon Crest Ring +1. Across from the Deacons of the Deep boss room is going to be the Ring of the Evil Eye +1 on the back of that throne. While you're in the cathedral, make sure you offer only one Pale Tongue to Rosaria. It'll be for the last gesture we get later. From the Farron Keep bonfire, turn right and head past where you pick up Iron Flesh, and you will find the Magic Stoneplate Ring +1 near where the Basilisk are. From the Keep Ruins bonfire, if you go around the outside, you will find the Wolf Ring +1, and then down the ramp you should see a summon sign for Yellowfinger Hazel. Summon him and he will give you the final gesture, Proper Bow. Make sure that you take out the Stray Demon above the Watchdogs of Farron again, and you can go ahead and head to Firelink and trade that in for either Boulder Heave or the Hovel's Ring, whichever one you didn't get in your first playthrough. In the Catacombs, next to where you pick up the Carthus Milk Ring, is going to be the Thunderstone Plate Ring +1. In the Smouldering Lake, all the way up next to the Ballista, you're going to find the Bloodbite Ring +1. In Irithyll, next to the throne, or behind it, where you pick up the Ring of the Sun's Firstborn in your first playthrough, you're going to find the Chloranthy Ring +1. On the second floor of Sylvan's boss room, near where there is a Mimic, you're going to find the Ring of Favor +1. Just outside the room with all the invisible enemies that's super dark, you're going to hop off that right side railing and you can pick up the Covetous Gold Serpent Ring +1. In the Profaned Capital, make sure you drop off the roof that's over the Toxic Pit. You'll go from one level to another, and you can pick up the Flamestone Plate Ring +1. In Irithyll Dungeon, when you find the shortcut back to the bonfire next to the Sleeping Giant, halfway up that shortcut is going to be the Covetous Silver Serpent Ring +1. In the Consumed King's Garden, ride the elevator all the way down and go behind it, and you can pick up the Wood Grain Ring +1. In the Untended Graves, make sure you pick up the Eyes of a Firekeeper where Irina normally sits, and then go to the locked tower key tower. You can pick up the Ring of Steel Protection +1. Make sure you give the eyes to the Firekeeper in Firelink Shrine, and then head to Lothric Castle. In the area where you find the Wyverns, if you go into the building on the right and climb the ladder, you'll find the first Wyvern foot. Go outside that room, and you'll fall off a ledge to pick up the Life Ring +2. Next to the other Wyvern's foot, where you pick up the Divine Tome of Lothric, you're going to find the Dark Stoneplate Ring +1. In the Grand Archives, all the way at the top where you pick up the Divine Pillars of Light, you're going to jump out of that birdcage thing, and along the rafters you're going to find the Sage Ring +1. In the Archdragon Peak, from the Great Belfry bonfire, you're going to head into the Chromode building where all the enemies are. Just past it on the left side, you're going to find Hovel's Ring +1. Now we're going to take on the Soul of Cinder again, and before you light the bonfire, if you've given the eyes and the soul to the Firekeeper, you should see her summon sign next to the bonfire. Just summon her, and that will get you the end of fire ending. And then we're going to move on to our third playthrough. We're going to find the Wolf Ring +2 just past Gundir's Arena on the left side. In the High Wall of Lothric, in the room where you find the cell key and your first Estus shard, in the very back is going to be the Ring of the Evil Eye +2. In the Undead Settlement, next to where you pick up Flynn's Ring, you can drop from one roof to another, and you will pick up the Covetous Silver Serpent Ring +2. In the Word of Sacrifices, next to where the first Storyteller Corvid is, you're going to fall off the left side. You could pick up the Chloranthy Ring +2. In the Cathedral, on the way to the rafters that lead to Rosaria's bonfire, there's an alcove to the left where you can find the Ring of Favor +2. In Farron Keep, from the Keep Ruins bonfire, do a 180, climb the ramp, And on the left side, behind this one of these flames, you're going to find the Dark Stone Plate Ring +2. In the Catacombs, when you cross the bridge, you'll see some pillars on the left side. On top of one of those pillars is the Ring of Steel Protection +2. In Smouldering Lake, in the room that's hidden behind a wall where you can find a Black Knight fighting a Gru, you will find the Flamestone Plate Ring +2. In Irithyll, just past the room with the 3 Silver Knights, on the right side you will find the Woodgrain Ring +2. In Anor Londo, from the Prison Tower bonfire, you're going to drop down a few levels and you will find Hovel's Ring +2. In the Profaned Capital, on your way to the Toxic Pit, when you jump out of the wall, turn right instead of left, and you will find the Magic Stone Plate Ring +2. In the Untended Graves, after you beat Gundyr again, head behind Lothric's throne in the Burned Out Firelink, and you will find the Life Ring +3. In the Consumed Garden, halfway down the first elevator, you're going to hop off to where you pick up the Titanite Shard. If you do a 180, you'll see another broken staircase, and that leads to the Sage Ring +2. In Lothric Castle, to the right of the Boss Fog, where you find the Red Tearstone Ring, you're going to hop off the balcony, and you will find the Thunderstone Plate Ring +2. At the very top of the Grand Archives, where you find the Hunter's Ring the first time, going halfway up, you can find the Lingering Dragon Crest Ring +2. And finally, in Archdragon Peak, you can beat Nameless King for the second or third time, depending on how many times you beat him already. And in his arena, once you're teleported, you can find the Covetous Gold Serpent Ring +2. All that's left to do now is to beat the Soul of Cinder for a third time. And this time when you beat the Soul of Cinder, just interact with the bonfire. You'll get the Length of Fire ending, and then you'll have all the achievements in Dark Souls 3. That'll be it.